Today on Outside the Box Reviews, our month of horror continues. And today we are looking at the NECA Gremlins Series 2 Brown Gremlin. Yeah, I guess this guy didn't have much of a name in the movie. He's kind of just generic gremlin, but why not? The Brown Gremlin. I must admit, of the gremlins I own, this guy is top two, if not my favorite of the group. This, to me, because he's generic, actually kind of makes him more functional in my collection. He is just a gremlin. He's not a hero gremlin. He's not specific to any movie, really. He's just a gremlin. So let's take a closer look and see what NECA packed in with him. He comes with what I can't tell based on scale is either a cigarette or like a cigarello or something. Very small little smokable something. Very tiny, very little detail on it, but it's super small. That will actually fit here in the side of his mouth, so it looks like he's smoking away as he's doing his mischievous deeds. And then he comes with his shades. Pretty cool, really neat looking. And as I mentioned with George, these are 1/6 scale figures, so these are basically 1/6 scale sunglasses. Kind of unique, but they look pretty good. They're plastic, but they're a little flexible. I wouldn't mess with them too much. The lenses are black and painted on there, so there's no translucency to them, but hey, they're dark shades from the late 80s, early 90s. That's what they should be, right? The face of the Brown Gremlin here is very different from George. He kind of has a pointy chin, almost a beard of the sharp little bony extrusions. His mouth is slightly open, so we get just the upper row of teeth. The bottom one's kind of hidden down there, but you can see his tongue as well. His eyes have the hoods of the sharp, spiky parts. His bright red eyes with the yellow centers with the cat eye slit. Now I have a little bit of red paint that is in the wrong place on my figure there. Honestly, I keep the shades on him 90% of the time, so that's not really something I'm too concerned about, but it's a little bit of a bummer if I ever want to display him like this. And this is one I could see people getting two of and have one with the shades and one without. His ears are very big. George's ears kind of came back on his head. These go right out to the side. Some awesome paint detail in here. You can even see little veins painted in there and spots and color variations. Very, very nice looking. There's a very well done sculpt on this figure. I really like it. I love this pattern on the back of his ears. Very neat looking. Some more on top of his head. On his back here, his little gremlin tail. You can see how he gets his name. He is a very brown gremlin. This is the other body, as I mentioned before. He doesn't have the pot belly. It's more sunken in here, almost slightly more muscular looking. But basically the same arms George has with the little spikes at the top coming down. Pretty similar hands. These ones are bent in as opposed to being bent out. So they're still kind of non-functional. And the poses the hands are in are just a little strange. You can't really do much with them. Same legs as well with the big gremlin feet on here, but some nice paint detail and overall a nice sculpt. Articulation, ball joint at the base of the neck. You have an okay range, nothing great. Pin socket shoulders, forward back out to the side. Bend at the elbow about 45 degrees and swivel. Ball joint at the wrist with those pre-bent hands. Ball joint at the legs. Bend at the knee, and ball joint at the ankle. So Brown Gremlin, a lot of the same what we got with George, but simple, effective. I recommend him. I think this is a solid recommend, where George was kind of like, you know if you like him, you know if you don't. I think Brown is pretty across the board cool. I really dig this one. He's definitely one of the best I've picked up from the line. Paint job's very solid, sculpt's on point. I like his two little accessories. I love the sunglasses. The little cigarello kind of works for him. Granted, that means half of the gremlins I own are smoking, but you know, whatever. Gremlins don't normally live long enough, it seems to have to worry about lung cancer, I guess. But definitely do recommend you go and pick him up. The whole Gremlin line has been pretty lackluster in sales for NECA. I know it's always been painful for them to stretch on and get the next wave out after the one they put out. So this guy probably isn't going to be that hard to find. My local comic shop has a ton of these guys. That's where I've been picking them up. If it ends up being a month or something where there's not a whole lot of new stuff coming out and I kind of want to pick something up that's a little unique, I'll normally go down there, pick one of these guys up, and put them somewhere hidden around my office. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link below. Also, check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. And until next time, if your computer's acting weird while you're watching these videos, or your phone's messing up, keep everything away from water, lock up your food after midnight, and turn on all the bright lights. Because you never can tell. There just might be a gremlin in your house.